Hey guys, Ralph here from the Endgame Investor, and I found a great video about LIBOR. I think it's from the IMF, and it's very informative. I tried to explain in my last video for Chris Marcus on Arcadia Economics why a temporary debt ceiling default could lead to the collapse of the entire financial system. And I want to clarify the point here. Well, you remember what happened on September 17th, 2019?
You see this big spike up toward 10%, 10% for secured overnight money. Obviously, something was wrong. There was a technical clog in the system.
When the repo markets went a little bit crazy and interest rates went to 10%, and the Fed had to print billions of dollars in repos in order to quell the madness in overnight interest rates. Well, a temporary default due to a debt ceiling breach would lead to an automatic repricing of all debt in the entire planet because it's all benchmarked to what is known as the SOFR, the Secure Overnight Financing Rate, as of the end of June of this year because LIBOR is going away. And what exactly is LIBOR? Well, take it away, this amazing video. You see that graffiti on that wall? That makes LIBOR really cool.
I'm Willa.
And I'm Tony.
And we're here for another edition of Back to Basics to talk about LIBOR.
And while Walla seems to be prepared for recording a video on LIBOR, she doesn't seem to know what LIBOR actually is.
Wait, what? What's LIBOR?
And then Walla, who seems to be on some kind of synergistic combination of Valium and Xanax, suddenly remembers that her clueless friend was asking about LIBOR a few days back, and now she remembers everything.
Come to think of it, I heard about it on the news a while back, and then a friend of mine asked me about it. So even my student loan rate could be based on LIBOR.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Walla! You owe $200,000 in student loans. Isn't that great? And how does LIBOR work? Well, it works like this. This is really sophisticated for an AI-powered CBDC postmodern society of technology. Banks submit what they think they can borrow at, and then this number is averaged out to come out with the base interest rate for all transactions on the entire planet.
The banks report rates they think they can borrow at, then the average of all these rates for each of the currencies is called the London Interbank Offered Rate, or LIBOR for short.
And if you want to learn more about LIBOR, just go to imf.org/whatever the hell.
To learn more about LIBOR, and indeed some of these new ideas, visit imf.org and search Back to Basics.
And you'll learn everything the IMF wants you to learn about LIBOR. Voila. Good job. Anyway, what is the problem with LIBOR? We have this article from Investopedia. LIBOR is a benchmark interest rate at which major global banks lend to one another in the international interbank market for short-term loans. According to the Federal Reserve and regulators in the UK, LIBOR will be phased out by June 30th, 2023, which is exactly 2 months from now, and will be replaced by the Secured Overnight Financing Rate, the SOFR. And here's another reiteration about how LIBOR is calculated, how the entire interest rate regime of the entire planet is based. Each day, ICE asks major global banks how they would charge other banks for short-term loans. They ask them a question, and they answer as honestly as they can. It's a very honest and honorable system. The association takes out the highest and lowest figures because they want to be even more honest, then calculates the average from the remaining numbers. That's a trimmed mean interest rate. However, what is happening after June 30th? Well, this is what's happening, folks. We will be moving to the Secure Overnight Financing Rate, which will be the benchmark rate for all dollar interest rates and therefore all other dollar derivative currency interest rates on the entire planet. And what is the SOFR? It's simply the interest rate that banks pay to borrow cash on the overnight market, collateralized by Treasury securities. It is an actual market, so interest rates can be calculated based on an actual market instead of based on questions that you ask the big banksters and expect or hope for an honest answer. But since the secured overnight financing rate operates on its own, what happens if there is a temporary default of the securities, treasuries, on which this overnight financing rate is based? We can get a hint of that from the annual report for First Republic Bank, the bank that just went under on Friday and is now dead. This key paragraph of First Republic Bank basically describes the earthquake that is liable to happen if there's a temporary default on the debt ceiling. It says here, in addition to affecting the price and liquidity of U.S. government securities, a government default or threat of default could disrupt the market or affect the pricing of repos, those overnight loans collateralized by treasuries, a type of secured financing transaction, secured overnight financing, that's the SOFR, used by many financial institutions to manage short-term funding needs, invest short-term cash balances, and manage inventories of government securities. Overnight rates on repo transactions are used by the Federal Reserve to calculate SOFR, that new interest rate that will be taking over for LIBOR right around the time that there should be or could be a debt ceiling default. The benchmark interest rate that is replacing LIBOR on loans and other financial contracts. A disruption in the repo markets could affect interest rates paid on SOFR benchmarked loans and could have an adverse impact on overall money markets and the cost of overnight or short-term borrowings, a funding source for the bank. Now, is First Republic Bank the only bank in which the SOFR benchmarks its entire litany of derivative interest rate contracts and all the other stuff that it buys and sells? No, all banks do this. And so it is plausible to believe that a temporary default due to debt ceiling considerations could send the SOFR skyrocketing to 10% or above, just as it did during the repocalypse of September 17th, 2019. And if that happens, there will be more than one bank failure, as the contracts of trillions of dollars worth of interest rate benchmark derivatives go bust. How do we know that there is serious problems in the repo and the treasury markets? Well, look at this lovely chart. This is the 3-month minus the 1-month treasury security spread, meaning the rate on 3-month treasuries minus the rate on 1-month treasuries. If it's very, very high, that means the 1-month treasury level is very, very low compared to the 3-month. And this number over here, which is about 1.8, I think the high is 1.81 or whatever it was, is an all-time high, which means that relative to 3-month treasury securities, 1-month treasury securities yield is extremely low. And why would that be happening? Because in a temporary debt ceiling default, the most liquid treasury with the highest probability of redemption at face value will be the 1-month treasury, which can recycle itself every month. And as they come to the treasury, can issue more debt. The last time that this spread was as high was around the 2007-2008 financial crisis. Does this mean we are approaching a new financial crisis? Not necessarily, but the likelihood is pretty high. But we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the debt ceiling. But we do know for sure is that both sides are completely full of themselves, full of hubris, and unaware of the intricacies of the financial system, as are the Federal Reserve themselves, and pretty much everyone in the mainstream Keynesian circles have no idea how a temporary debt ceiling default can destroy the entire pyramid. And the entire pyramid, the entire debt-based pyramid, is going to be destroyed by one thing or another. It might be this thing, it might not be this thing, it might be another thing, but it's coming down. And what we do know is that hubristic people that have no idea what they are doing have a very good chance of starting a cascade through a temporary debt ceiling default to try to intensify their brinkmanship and bring home the bacon or whatever they think they're going to do for their constituents. They do not know how the financial system functions. Nobody really understands it because it is so complicated and debt-ridden and chaotic that not a single person in this entire planet understands exactly how it works. But the combination of hubris and stupidity is a perfect way to tip over this pyramid once and for all and to destroy fiat currencies for good. Is it definitely going to happen? I don't know. But it's likely enough that it's worth talking about in a YouTube video. If you enjoyed this video, then sign up for a 2-week free trial of the Endgame Investor, link in the description below, or buy your gold and silver at MilesFranklin. Call 855 game end. You can also become my patron on Patreon, where I give a weekly video of biblical commentary on monetary and economic policy topics. And this week we cover why certain societal crimes cannot be repented for without widespread punishment, as we see in the book of Kings 2.